This week we're looking at number 12, the Biblical Worldview, in our series on life, everlasting, death, dying, and the future hope. And when we think about a biblical worldview, we claim that we have a biblical worldview. Just about every Christian also believes that they have a biblical worldview. So we have to dig a little deeper when it comes to trying to understand what we really mean by this. When we talk about a biblical worldview, we're really talking about the great controversy, this meta narrative, if you like, this foundational principle that undergirds our theology, understanding what God is going through. We start off with the war in heaven in Revelation, and we work through Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28, all these other perspectives, trying to understand what is happening in this great sweep of history. What is God trying to achieve? And when Jesus comes as the absolute fulfillment of the demonstration of the nature and character of God, Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. What is he trying to prove? What questions is he answering? And by looking at all this data, all this information, you can almost look at it in a scientific way, all these data points, then you come to the conclusion that yes, there has been a struggle going on, and it's continuing between God and the devil as to who is telling the truth and what are the results of different courses of action. When God said to Adam and Eve back there in the garden, the day you eat that particular fruit in the center of the garden, you will definitely die. Did they die immediately? No, because it was not an imposed penalty. It was a consequence that eventually would occur, physically and spiritually. So we have to really read scripture carefully to understand what is going on. God is not this arbitrary tyrant who is trying to enforce his will upon a reluctant people, but a loving Father inviting each thinking being in the universe to consider what is truth and to respond out of love, not because they are forced to. It is the devil who operates on force. All right, having said that, then you should really look at Luke 2, Matthew 4, 1 Corinthians 6, Psalm 24, Acts 4, John 3, and 1 Thessalonians 5. You can look up all those texts that we are given because they help us to have this great controversy perspective. Let me read from the Handbook of Adventist Theology. Adventist understanding of the cosmic controversy has provided the church with a rational, integrated worldview. There you are. There's the biblical worldview. Every biblical teaching has its place and significance within its theological scope. The concept provides a window on the sovereign creator God, his character, law, and government. It exposes the mystery of sin, what it is, how it began, and why it continues. And I would want to add how it ends, because that's so significant, how God eventually brings it all to a conclusion, and that one day this world will not be under the curse of sin. Evil will be no more. And we will enjoy a universe that is full of love and joy and happiness, and we can live with our loving God forever. But until that time, we have to look at this great controversy and see our role as part of it. That we are playing roles, not in the sense of play acting, but a role in speaking for God. We are, as Paul said, we're like these display objects, if you want. We are a spectacle to the universe. We are on display at the end of time to show what God has done, is doing, and will do. Because he is the one who gives life. He's the one who answers the objections of the devil. And most of all, he's the one who will take care of it in the end. And we need to trust him to do just that. So as we think of our biblical worldview, it really is important to consider how God does bring this all to a conclusion. I don't have time to read through those Ellen White comments at the end, but you should do so because they help us to understand that God is the one who is true and faithful, and that the devil's lies need to be finally eradicated.